Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick. Today we have the Lightning Jet, set number 70614, contains 876 pieces, 6 minifigures, and retails for $59.99, which at a first glance would seem like a remarkable price per piece, only 6.8 cents per piece. So, you know, it just appears to be a really good value for what you get, but let's take a little bit of a closer look and see if that is really the case. The other little build in the set is a little Shark Army crab thing for Krusty, and it's number 13. That's a sticker on there, and there's also a sticker on either side of this flag. But I think that this is overall a cool little thing. It does have the posable legs, so you can raise it off the ground. You can kind of go like that. You know, you can get all sorts of different poses with those. It also has the claw, which you can pose. It's on a ball joint that can be rotated down at the base, as well as, you know, each section of the claw individually. And it's kind of difficult, but you can get a figure kind of sandwiched in there. It kind of holds on to it. Not perfectly, but, you know, it works. And I think it has a little bit of play value. Also, the face of the mech is kind of little crab face. It's kind of cute-ish. And it has a 6-stud shooter, and you can just turn that, and it will shoot off studs, and you'll lose them. So that's cool. But, you know, it's kind of fun for kids, I guess, and add some playability. And the actual figure just sits in there, and he gets a printed control console as well as some levers. And it's interesting that they actually do kind of cover up the sides with these plates here. I think that they probably could have left that off and it wouldn't have looked too bad. Also, actually, I guess the other thing you can do is turn this around, but that doesn't do too much and definitely looks best in its regular position. But I think that this is a decent little side build, and they easily could have left this out, and not too many people would have noticed, especially with the 876 pieces that they used. This is probably less than 100, and 776 pieces still would have sounded like a lot for $60 that. So at first glance, this vehicle looks a little weird, and I would definitely agree with that statement. It is a very, very weird vehicle. Unlike the rest of the Ninja's mechs from the movie, it is a flying vehicle, so it would be in the air like this, and as a result they give you a handle, which does not look that great, I'm not going to lie, but it is, I think, necessary for getting it in a good pose. I think that, you know, this looks good on display, and the handle's not super visible, but obviously if you come around back, I mean, you know, not ideal. Would have been nice if they did it in like trans clear or something, then I don't think I would have minded it as much, but not a big fan of the way it looks. Also, this red on either side here just feels a little bit out of place to me, but other than that, you know, most of it looks pretty good. These engines on the sides, I think, are nice, and it's very angular, which is a little odd, but I think that it kind of gives me like a Milano kind of vibe. I think part of what contributes to that is this little tail in the center. But, you know, it's interesting, definitely. From the bottom, again, it also looks a little weird. There we go. You can see that all on camera now. With some weird Technic stuff. But this is actually part of a Technic mechanism. This little handle here, if you push that, it will move this gear, which spins another gear. Yeah, it spins the little section in the back, which in the movie, actually, he is charging that up. So, you know, you can just keep spinning that really fast. If he's charging it up, and then you can, like, go and you can pretend that he, like, sends out the electrical pulse. It would have been nice to get, like, some sort of feature for that, but I don't know what they would have done, personally. Just looking at the details on the wing that are stickered on, but they look cool. I guess we'll go in for a little bit of a closer view. It says caution and no step. But I think that, you know, it looks pretty good overall. The sides, you know, have a little bit of trans red as an accent, which I think looks good. We're going to skip over this section for a minute, but it does have a couple more stickers around, and then some around the cockpit. But I do like the use of these lightning pieces very much. I think that looks great. Again, same stickers on this side, and pretty similar design. But these wings here, I guess not wings, but like these whole side sections have these antenna sticking off. You'd think they'd be really fragile, actually, but they're attached with studs and clips, which makes them really sturdy, and they actually, are tough to break off. These lightning pieces are actually a little bit less stable. These on the front, you could open those up, and you can move these out to the side, actually, so you could change the look of this thing quite a bit. You could see these as like laser cannons or something. But, when you put the whole vehicle like that, it kind of changes the appearance quite drastically. I think it looks best like this, but, you can just have it like that, or even something like that. But, obviously, as you can see, this little tube did break off. I believe the overall shape, is pretty good for what it is. Now, the other thing that is a little odd to me is the positioning of this Technic shooter. Obviously, it's a good spot for aiming. It's right up front, but if you're holding the handle, especially if you have small hands, it's not going to be possible to hit that up there. Like me, with my hands, I could reach my middle finger out and just reach that, but if you're a little kid, you're going to need to since you have smaller hands, you're going to need to use your other hand in order to shoot it, which, is a little bit more difficult. And it does have this one landing skid on the front, so when you put it down on the ground, it will stay flat. The actual cockpit design is kind of a bubble canopy, which takes away from the sleek look that this thing didn't really have in the first place. So I think that, it's appropriate. It's unconventional for like a jet, but I think it works. There is enough space to comfortably seat him, and you could even just toss his accessories in the back. They'd stay there. Well, they'd fit in there. I don't know if they'd stay there necessarily. But I like how they give him these two gold plate or tiles with the bar attachment. And, it kind of has like joysticks, and they also have the additional levers and the printed console piece. I think that looks good. There are also the two stickers on these slopes that... Why can't I get them in from... I get it. It was because of the lever that was in his way. But these stickers here are a little bit of an odd placement for me because they kind of get half covered by the dome, which I think is just a little odd. Also, you do have to kind of like squeeze this up in there. You could easily, remedy that by just not putting that in his hand. There is a little bit of a trans yellow accent there, and then this engine up here is also a little bit of an interesting design. But I think overall this vehicle looks kind of wacky, but I can kind of respect it. I think that it's a very, very interesting looking thing to have on a shelf, and I guess you can do that and use that as a method of firing things off. Not really. That's definitely not what it's meant for, but that's what just happened, so we're going to roll with it. So for figures, I decided that we'll start with the two most common, and those are Jay and the Shark Army Thug. The Shark Army Thug, he uses one of the two common leg prints. I've actually noticed that throughout the line they kind of switch those around a little. Use some with the small knee pads, some with the large ones. His torso print is pretty standard, and so is his face. He does get some back print on that torso, which is good, and his fish is obviously worthy. It's pretty impressive. I don't understand why that isn't marketed as one of like the villains in the set. It's kind of just a cool little bonus, I guess, but like Thorfish is a pretty large draw for the set, actually. And Jay, though, just comes with this standard, half nunchuck thing that has like the blade on the other side. Interesting, but it's his weapon for the Ninjago movie, and I guess from now on, so, you know, is what it is. I like his hood mask element and his front facial print, as well as his, second expression, which also looks pretty good. And I like the orange in the movie J's color scheme. I think that it looks good, and I think it's good to get a nice, well done version of Jay, especially with, his vehicle, the Lightning Jet. So, definitely a necessary figure, not exclusive, but still really cool. And speaking of really cool, here we have Ed and Edna, and these are Jay's parents, and they appear in the movie for, like, probably less than 5 seconds, but they're here in Lego form for the first time, and I'm really happy with the way these figures turned out. Obviously, Ed's got the, apron with the tools in there, which is true to his TV show design. It is a redesign of how he looked in the TV show, but I think that it's good. His hair is gray. I was almost expecting white, because I feel like his hair is white in the TV show more than gray, but, it's still cool to get a facial print for this character, even if the hair isn't completely accurate, because that can always be changed. I guess you could view it as gray, but it's always just felt more white to me. The actual design of Edna is a little bit less faithful to her show attire. In the show, she has the pilot's outfit from Series 3, which is cool, but I like that they gave her some toe printing, and good printing throughout on this version of the figure. Back print on both of them. Ed just has the, tie for the apron, and Edna has a little backpack. Edna gets no accessory. Ed has a wrench, as you saw, or a spanner. But they both get scared expressions as well, which I think is good. Edna's feels a little weird to me. Not sure why, but I like Ed's scared expression a lot. Yeah, I think that these are both really good figures and nice to have. Even if they aren't, based on the TV show, it's nice to have these characters in Lego form. And then these are Krusty and Jelly, who aren't exclusive to this set, but, are less common. Krusty comes with a fish saw, and Jelly comes with a fish with studs on him, as in extra ammo for his stud shooter, which, you can shoot like any stud shooter. And that went straight up instead of straight, but, whatever. The prints for these guys are pretty good. I like Jelly's, having the tentacles go down his torso, and there's printing on his legs, and Krusty gets different printing for the legs, and he also gets this really, really cool helmet piece. This is a rubbery piece so that these don't break off. Looks pretty good. I like it quite a bit, and it goes all the way around. Looks really pretty nice, and they did a good job printing or painting the black antenna parts on. And underneath that armor piece for the torso, he has, relatively standard torso. It's exactly the same as the Shark Army thugs from the same set. And his armor piece is, it's an armor piece, covers up most of the back of the torso. And Jelly's back torso print is also pretty good. The other thing that Jelly has is these weird jelly printed, or jellyfish tentacle printed orb thing. This is 2 parts. You can take it off. It's kind of difficult to do, so I'm not going to. You can see his face print well enough already. But I think that he's a very interesting looking figure, and Krusty is pretty cool as well. I think that, for a relatively inexpensive set, to get 2 of the more interesting Shark Army officers, as well as some other cool exclusive figures, is a nice treat. And, it's better than them just including The more common ones like Great White and just a bunch of Shark Army thugs. So I think that, it's good. I appreciate the inclusion of these two figures, and I think they're both really cool. So overall, I think that this Lightning Jet is another good set from the Ninjago movie. However, I don't feel like it's one of the strongest of the wave. The price per piece makes the value seem very, very, very good, and I wouldn't say it's a bad value, but I do feel that the actual price per piece makes it seem like it's a better set than it actually is. I think that it's a cool look. It's kind of hard to really like, but it's definitely a very interesting appearing thing. I do like the overall idea of it. I think that there are a couple places in the back where it could be done a little bit better, but I don't think it's bad at all by any means. However, there are a lot of small pieces that are built up around the wings that make this a little bit seem a little bit smaller than the piece count would suggest, which I think makes sense given that this is a cheaper set than the piece count would suggest. The little crab build is good, and the figures are excellent. So overall, I would probably rate this set, above average. But for the Ninjago movie line, I don't think it's as good as sets like the Fire Mech, the Water Strider, and especially Ninjago City and Destiny's Bounty. So it's good, but not as good as some of the other offerings from the wave. Better than Garma Mecha Man, I think, though I don't have that set yet, so I can't say that for certain. And, probably on par with the Ice Tank, I'd say. But those are my thoughts on the, well, actually, I guess one other thing I should mention, the figure selection is one of the better selections in the wave, with Ed and Edna being really desirable figures, and Krusty and Jelly being good. The only one that's kind of lame is the Shark Army Thug, but he's not bad, he's just relatively common. So, overall, I'd say that this is a good set, not one of the best of the wave, definitely not one of the worst. So, yeah, it's a cool thing. I think that the biggest hurdle with this is just getting used to the look of this super unconventional design. But if you can get around that, I think you'll really enjoy it. So, overall, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you did in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys all later. Bye, everyone.